G'day students, this is Mr. Hyson. So we're going to do a few things. Let's go here. So this is the unit you should have been working on in the year 11. This is going to be a long video, so you need to break it down into bits. Okay, so we're going to look at different digital communication methods: email, Twitter, blogging, microblogging, all that sort of stuff. They don't have online meetings like Zoom or WebEx or Meet listed. But anyway, I'll try and be as quick as possible. So your assessments. First assessment is they're going to ask questions and you're going to answer. So the first one is you're going to download a table, this table, but I'm getting rid of it. And then you're going to fill it in with headings: urgent, confidential, personal, or suspicious. And then who should do something about it? The manager, you, your customer, client, whatever. The rest are questions, although the last one's a bit of a scenario. So I haven't given you what the question is. I'm just telling you, you're going to need to know something about organisational policy. IVET does give you a 15-page digital communication policy thing. For example, if you want to talk formally, if you want to talk more relaxed, it's got some stuff on Netiquette again, which came up in the communication module, spelling, all sorts of things. You're free to have a quick browse through it, and it's suggested to answer question 2, you could actually download it and look at it, but I don't think that's going to be necessary for you. Let's go back to... And then the second one is going to be doing a number of tasks. I'm going to look at that later because that's going to take a little bit of time. Oh, let's go back to some of the questions. Then you're going to have to know something about confidentiality. And that'd be it's mentioned on page 9 of the student resource, and it's also a bit more on page 10. So you're going to know how to protect businesses' information, and how, if you don't, your business will go out of business. Your competitors will want your client base, your customer base, all that sort of stuff. Then you're going to need to list some digital communication etiquette or netiquette examples. And again, page 18 of the student resource, I'll have some. So you need to look at them before you do the assessment so you can finish it all in the hour. And then there's also some in that thing I just showed you, their 15-page electronic communication policy, electronic communications policy and procedure manual. Let's skip across again to here. All right. And that's on page 18. You need to know something about existing and emerging digital technologies and list their strengths and weaknesses. That's in the student resource. In fact, the one activity asks you to do a PowerPoint on a couple of them, but if you scroll further down through the student resource, it actually gives you weaknesses and strengths of the ones they've actually mentioned. So have a quick scan through the student resource, which you should have already done, but I'm not holding my breath. Then you're going to have to talk about using filters. And there's a little bit in the student resource about it. And if you're not sure, I can always give a demonstration to the class. And then finally, there's a scenario question. You're at a business, they put you in charge of all the digital communications, the support email, the Twitter account, or whatever it is. And how are you going to ensure that stuff's not missed? Well, you set up some alerts so that you know when new material comes in, because you probably want to respond quickly. And it also talks about if you make mistakes, admit it, apologise, get it sorted out, don't just ignore it. So that's the written part. 7 questions. One of them, you download a document and you got to upload it. That's not where I want to be. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Ah, back here now. We'll talk about that later. So, all right. Digital technology is a popular way for managers, staff, and clients to quickly and effectively communicate, especially in businesses that might have office interstate, overseas, around the world, or your customer base is overseas and they want to communicate with. I was just talking to someone who's working for a watch broker, and people all around the world want them to source expensive watches for them. So their client base is all over the world. So they need an effective way of communicating, and it's going to be email and SMS, and occasionally they'll have a video conference so they can actually see the person, because words are not the same as actually assessing the body language, the nuances you can get from seeing people. And even you looking at me now, you're not getting as much nuances as you would in class. You can't tell my mood from me just sitting here. All right, I'll speed it up. So what are some of the things you need? You're going to need to know some of these things. So there's forums. I've got a watch. If I find a thing I can't do with a watch, I often go to the forum, and other users will put information up for me or answer questions. You can share, you know all about sharing video. There's instant messaging, there's micro blogs, there's email, and they haven't mentioned, as I say, video conferencing like Zoom, WebEx, or Meet. And there's probably others out there as well. Okay, talk about stupid. Accessing the platform, create a user email. All right, so you've already got a school email. I don't know whether you got a personal email. I just created a Google account, a Yahoo account, so I could send myself an email. Hi, David. Hope the vet students can get a second email address to play with. And then I've I've sent it to myself originally. Should it be set up just for vet student? Anyway, I've got now one I can send backwards and forwards, because in the student resource, one of the activities is sending yourself emails. And one of the things in the assessment, the second assessment, not the question answer one, the other bit I got to observe, is for you to have 10 emails in an account and then to delete them. It goes into the student resource telling you why you should delete them to free up space and all that stuff. I think that's old-fashioned, but anyway, there is my Gmail. I have 47,800 emails. The only thing that limits me, because Gmail doesn't limit how much I have because it's an education account, is my ability to search for old emails. And I don't spend my time cleaning up my account, but you need to go by what the student resource tells you. Okay, let's keep going. Anyway, I set up a Yahoo account because I went to set up a Hotmail account that was asking me too many questions. I did need to give them a phone number to get a verification or an other email, so you can send a code to make sure you really exist. And I made a fairly simple password because I don't intend to keep very much information in my Yahoo account. It's only for playing around with. All right. I'm sure you know how to log into your email account, check your content, check the spelling when it's Gmail will underline misspelt words. Some of you seem to ignore that. Attach any files you're going to send, and then enter the recipient's email address and send. Sure, you can do that. Receiving, I show you know how to receive, but there's different emails. Some are just the normal email. Some are marked with urgent. Some emails let you mark things urgent, some don't. Some are confidential. That means it's got sensitive information in it, and there's going to be a question about that. So you better, as you're going through the student resource in your own time, make sure you pay attention to that. And then there's suspicious or dangerous emails that can be phishing for stuff. I got one the other day, said, we've been monitoring your account, monitoring your computer, and you've received some suspicious emails. And I just ignored it. In fact, I deleted that email so that I didn't accidentally click on the links that were in it. All right, set up filters. There's something in the student resource about setting up filters. I set up a filter the other day. Where am I? Oh, one came this morning. Oh, well, probably in here. These ones come with a filter so that they go into the right account. All right. And of course, you've already got filters built in Gmail, spam, and there's a spam account in Yahoo as well. And I'm sure Hotmail has it as well. Go back. Where am I? Getting confused. Netiquette. You should be familiar with Netiquette now, having set up a Netiquette account, sent it to some people. Well, sorry, 2 people in the class have completed the communication module. The rest of you need to do it in a hurry. It'll make it easy when you get up to this one. Anyway, as I've said, there's some Netiquette stuff in the student resource for this unit, and there's some stuff in the IVET communication manual policy. Store and attachments. Now, typical, these are the files that are reasonable to receive in an emails. PDFs, put them in document format, images, spreadsheets, and word processing. And then you can either archive, which means take emails and put them in another spot. You haven't deleted them, but they're not cluttering up your inbox, or you can delete them permanently. And then email groups. And we did this also in the communication module. We use Gmail, contacts, you create a distribution list or something else, and it's on the previous YouTube video I made and asked you to look at how to do it. And as other students say, if you watch a bit, do a bit, watch a bit, do a bit, it isn't just 15 minutes of watching, it's doing, and you'll learn something. That is all we need to do. That's part of the assessment, is to let you know what the trainer package is, and we can get rid of that now. I'll move. Can't close that. Anyway, close that one. If I close that, I'll have more room to close that. All right. Now, this is the student resource. So we need to know the purpose, the intended audience, and the content to work out which policy we use. So the purpose, it could be advertising, marketing for sales, could be promoting events that the business is running, providing information, or opinions, seeking opinions. The intended audience could be co-workers, management, customers, or the general public. And the content, the main thing you need to worry about is commercial sensitivity, because information is important to an organisation, and the information in the wrong hands could be rather embarrassing, or people are going to start stealing your clients if they get your client list. There's an activity to do. What form of information should fit there? And when I think you've finished that, we can go through the answer to that. This is Microsoft Outlook, but you're not using that. You're using Gmail, Twitter, instant messaging, which I don't bother with. Oh, I've got it. WhatsApp though. Oh, why haven't they listed Skype there as well then? Image or sharing. I'm sure you're familiar with those two. And there's forums. As I said, there's the forum for Garmin watch. There's a forum for a Fitbit. There's forums for all sorts of things. Okay, I wanted a 5-slide presentation. You're supposed to do all the activities, but I'm going to let you off that one because we'll find that's been done for you later on. Then you do need to practice this one, saying which is the best form of communication for each of these activities. We'll go through the answer to that. We can go through the answer to that when you've done it. And then it's got the advantage and disadvantage of dedicated email, which is where you use something like Microsoft Outlook, and web-based is something like Google, not Google, yeah, Gmail is what they mean, not Google Chrome. All right, how to create an email address. I just created one on Yahoo. I made it pretty simple, david.hyson. You can make something more unusual if you like. What they suggest for setting up good password is at least 8 characters long, combination of upper lowercase number and a symbol, e.g. 7 hash capital D AVID, 7 hash David. Do not contain any words or names, except I just suggested one had David in it. The truth is, you make it too hard and people won't remember it, and then they'll do the really bad thing of writing it down somewhere. You're supposed to have your passwords in your head and change every 3 or 4 months. I don't change mine very regularly, except my education one, because it forces me every 3 months to change my password. And I have a pattern that helps me remember where I'm up to. All right. Now that's just the play around. If you think you know how to set up yourself a Yahoo account and have a play sending emails backwards, forwards from your email account to yourself, I don't want to see your passwords. So that's just setting up some accounts, but you need a Yahoo one. When I get onto the other assessment, you're going to need to know why. Okay, sending attachments. Yeah, I'm sure you know how to do that. If you don't, you better speak to me. We won't worry about the 100-word email. It seems a little bit long. And all I've got to do later on is find an invoice for you to attach to your email. You know how to receive. These are the dangerous ones. I'm only halfway through. Attachments. Now, exes, visual basic script and bat files, don't open them, don't click on them. They're probably going to put something on your computer that's going to give access to someone else, steal your information, destroy your computer, whatever. And phishing scams are people trying to find out stuff. And there's an example later on of one. Now, look at this statistic from 2018. Spam accounted for 52.54% of all emails. It wastes the time of staff. Now, you're supposed to be able to unsubscribe from emails. I've unsubscribed from Kogan.com heaps of times, and catch of the day, I keep unsubscribing, and then they keep sending me other ones because they keep creating new email accounts for themselves to try and get around the fact. Now, here's an example of a spam. Sender, Australian University email account. Subject, security information replacement. Hi, Australian student. So it hasn't got your name. So that's phishing. It's trying to find out something about it. Someone started a process to replace all your security information for your email account. Inappropriate capitals, shouldn't have abbreviations. If this is you, You can safely ignore this email. Your security information will be replaced with when the 5-day. If it wasn't you, someone else is trying to take over your email account. Click here to find out more details. They want you to click here. Don't click there. Badly formed email, alert at au.education.au, Australian University email team. There is no such thing as Australian University. So anyway, it's trying to scare you, sets a deadline, it's pretending to help, and including what looks genuine, a phone number. Yeah, sure. You could easily put that in and search it and find out. All right. And there's the telltales. It does not address you by name. The first sentence is not grammatically correct. Info instead of information. Asking to click on a link and a random number details. It doesn't convince me at all. All right. Then we've got some more review questions. Then there's some information on setting up filters. And despite them talking about Outlook before, this is straight out of Gmail to set up a filter. So have a play with that. And then when you set up a filter, there's the options you get. If you need any help, ask me. You don't actually have to create a filter in the practical outcome, but you will need to suggest a filter as a way of controlling things in one of the question and answer parts of the assessment. So have a little fiddle with that. Again, they want you to send some emails backwards and forwards. You're going to need to know how to do it, so you may as well have a practice before you do the outcome. Communication policy. I deleted the communication policy from IVET that was there, but you've done a fair bit on Netiquette, so here's some more information. I don't want you to pair up and send anything. We've done that already in the communication module. Well, I must admit you can't use stuff from one unit to complete another unit, but we'll let that go. And where to store emails. Now, these are the bad ones. Zips, X's, bats. Where to put your email. Where to put your attachment, not on your desktop, unless it's something you want to look at quickly and they're going to move later on. You can use, so I'll tell you, I'll send you an attachment during the observation and you'll have to save it somewhere and show me that you have saved it somewhere. And then there's some research to do. A lot of that is already here for you. Okay. So you don't have to do a lot of research. The only ones I didn't see listed there is GIF, JPEG, and they're just image files. PowerPoint, okay, and that's another image file. Everything else is given to you. And then the same thing as in the trainer presentation, archiving is removing it from the inbox but not throwing it away. And deleting is getting rid of it completely. And then you needed to communicate with targeted groups. This is where you set up your distribution list. And we've already done that again in the communication module. So those students that are up to date, you don't need to do this because you're going to be doing that as part of the observation. Actually, you can show me doing that and it'll tick off on the observation. More review questions. So 3 lots of review questions and done. Now, let's go into more detail on that. Is that it? Yeah, student assessment. Let's have a good look at this and then I'll be done. All right. So Different methods, electronic email, instant messaging, and others. All right, big deal. Business stakeholders include, so that was already being given in your student guide, who stakeholders are. It listed customers, fellow workers, management, etc., the public. Okay, let's get down to what you need to. So in order to demonstrate, you need to successfully answer all the written questions in the written part and successfully demonstrate the skills which are observed by the trainer assessor. Happens to be me. Beforehand, and I'm going to do less and less of this because all the units have the same thing, but you have to do all the training. You have to do all the activities and the checkpoints. You need to know the deadline for completion. So we're going to have 1 hour to do the written part, and then we'll see how the other thing will be ongoing, because some will be faster, some will be slower. I've got to be able to see what you do. And required sequence. Now remember, you, following the completion of assessment tasks, you'll be unable to, if you haven't been able to demonstrate the level of performance, skill, or knowledge, you'll be given feedback and the opportunity to be reassessed after 3 attempts. It's the original plus 2 more. You have not, I don't know what happens there. You're going to be deemed not yet competent. It hasn't happened because my feedback has been suitable for everyone who's done the work. All right, you're going to need a computer. You're going to need access. All right, not a problem. And the appropriate procedures and thingo was the IVET thing that I'll probably email everyone that. I'm going to email some other stuff as well. You've got to say that you know all that. And when you hand it in, you've got to tell me some more stuff. So what are the demonstrations you've got to do? Here we go. So you've been asked to send a digital communication to another office based in Europe to request an update on the delivery of a new item that's being introduced. It's a new product and your business will be the first in Australia to have it. So your email should mention something about the product. You're asked, you then ask in the email on the estimated delivery of the stock, when are you likely to receive it? And you also need to ask them whether they receive the wire transfer payment. And you're going to send an image of the wire transfer payment for their records to say, you know, we have paid, so when are we going to get it? And based on this information, you're going to inform your assessor what you think the best digital tool to do this will be. Sending attachments. Clue. Then the next thing you're going to do is you'll be given access to an existing email address that is populated with emails. No, you won't. You're going to create a Yahoo account. You're going to send yourself some emails, get some friends to send you some emails. So you have a whole lot of emails in there. You can show me the emails, and one of them's going to have an invoice. You're going to show me how you download the attachment and store it somewhere where I tell you. Then you're going to permanently delete the emails in that account. So you're going to download an attachment, store it somewhere on your computer or on a Google Drive. Then you're going to delete the emails that you've shown me permanently. So it's going to be delete, not archive. And then, given a list of 5 names in an address book, well, in Google it's called contacts. You create an email address and send an email to someone and show me that. And again, that's another task you should have already done in the previous communication module. All right. And I'm supposed to ask you some questions during it. We'll work out the date after we've done the other thing. And then you make the declaration that none of the work is anyone else's. You haven't cheated or plagiarized. You've correctly referenced, and you find out what happens if there's a breach. All right. One more before we're done. Oh, that's that one. Oh, didn't open it. Oh, that's it. Oh, yeah, I know what I wanted to show you. One more thing. I'm still not 100% sure that it's not going to be like the first one where I had to do an observation and, whoops, not that one. An observation checklist. So I'm going to send everyone one of these, and what are you going to do with it? You're going to put your name on it. So you can upload it. All right. I want it darker than that. And you're going to have to put some comments in there. So my suggestions for the comments, I've written some suggestions. I'm not going to send that to you. I'm going to talk to you about. So who is the intended audience? What was the purpose of the communication? What was the best method of sending it? And then commercial sensitivity, how important is it? Then there's going to be one, send an invoice, discuss a new product. It means the communication needs to be recorded for future use. So maybe email will be the most suitable. Student was able to demonstrate this. Attachment was downloaded and saved at the appropriate place. The inbox was deleted, misspelt, one word. And a distribution list was used to send a group email. That's what you're going to put in the comments when I tell you. I'll email you the IVET thing, and I'll email you the other observation thing for you to use and love it. So that's it for now. I've just got to restore this so I can stop the video. Stop sharing and end the meeting.